Over the weekend, while traversing the forest, I was slapped in the face with a list. It came down from the heavens above. Today I share this list with you. As a Linux-based OS user, I've spoken to many other things that use Linux. What can I deduce of a person simply by knowing which distro they use? Using such measures of deduction can be quite useful, especially if you're psychic. The first one is Ubuntu. If you use Ubuntu and you're not a server, you're probably just starting out with Linux, to be honest. Either that, or you're just looking to get some knowledge of Linux for work reasons. It's probably the most widely used Linux distro for a good reason. It's easy, simple. You're not a very interesting person if you use Ubuntu, that's for sure. It is very stable, and I do assume that you're a very hard-working person if you use Ubuntu. You ditch Windows for those kinds of things, and it's respectable. Solid 8 out of 10. Pop! OS, gaining popularity quite quickly. Pop! OS, you reek of Dorito dust and Mountain Dew. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's just the energy that operating system gives off. It's emanating almost. Pop! OS is great because it makes it easy to switch from Windows to Linux. Plenty of helpers and tools for compatibility layers such as Wine, popular with gamers and that group of people, hence the association with Dorito dust. Powerful aura, at least. 7 out of 10. Next up is Debian. You're a lesbian. 10 out of 10, no further inquiries. Mint. I feel like Mint is almost identical to Ubuntu, except even a harder working person. You probably code in C++ if you use Mint, and you don't want to waste your time with any of that Arch stuff or Gentoo stuff. Very respectable. It has a lot of DEs, Mint. I actually used Mint for a while. You're probably like an IT specialist at some telecom company if you use Mint. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. Red Hat. You're a corporate psychopath if you used Red Hat. 100%. You're untrustworthy, you lie frequently, but you're rich. You have many leather-bound books. And a wine cellar despite not drinking wine. Yeah, you wear the finest suits and ties if you use Red Hat or used Red Hat. You definitely profit off of whoever wins the US election if you used Red Hat. You're definitely that kind of person. Many politicians are in your pocket. You don't use a computer anymore, you have someone that uses it for you, that you pay, because Red Hat doesn't exist anymore. And, well, the OS doesn't exist anymore, and neither does your touch with the computer. 1 out of 10. You don't even count as a Linux user at that point, you're just a psychopath. Deepin. Deepin is interesting. It's like the CCP equivalent of Mint. You respect the Chinese government if you use Deepin. Sometimes you should trade a little freedom for the greater good of the people. As a result, your society will thrive. You understand this, which is why you are loyal to the CCP. Deepin has good UX as well, so yeah, it's like CCP Mint basically. I'll give it 6.7 out of 10. Plus 0.7 points for the style. Being a tanky does have its own style points, I suppose. Kali. Yeah, if you use Kali, you're either a 14-year-old script kid, you're a skid that probably has anonymous hats, masks, and you probably LARP as anonymous online. Either that, or if you're like part of the 1% that's actually penetration testing software, but that's just 1%. Yeah, Kali's a troublesome one. I'm curious, if you are someone that uses Kali, why? Please let me know. I'll give it like a 3.5 out of 10, since I'm sure there's at least like 1% of people that actually use it for pen testing and stuff like that. If you're a skid though, please stop. You're not helping anyone. You're a nuisance to literally everyone. Endeavor. I love Endeavor. It was the final distro I used before settling on Arch. It's essentially Arch, but easier to install, and it gets the desktop environment ready for you. That's pretty much it, and there's also like a friendlier forum. It is Arch-based, of course. I like Endeavor. It's good stepping stone distro. Very good for programmers that don't want to just go through the mess of installing Arch yourself. Endeavor is a part of the Arch pipeline, I suppose. If you use Endeavor, you're probably starting to notice some dark circles under your eyes. But you've gone too far to go back, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's a very good OS. Gentoo. Yeah, you're a f***ing psychopath who used Gentoo. You probably whip yourself with a belt every time you accidentally used precompiled software. You definitely have dark circles under your eyes if you use Gentoo. Very ironic coming from myself, I know. You 100% have radical beliefs. Doesn't matter which ones, you just have them. Definitely have way too much time on your hands if you use Gentoo. That or you just don't sleep. Gentoo is so bad that I was gonna give it a 1 out of 10, however, it kind of comes full circle, so let's give it a 3.5 out of 10. Next up, Arch. I use Arch. Need I say more? Didn't think so. 10 out of 10. And then we have Nix. I'll be honest, I've never really understood NixOS. Nix is like how I imagine Gentoo would have been if it wasn't so f***ed up. If you use Nix, you're the type of person to make pull requests for someone that f***ed up their comments in their code. You definitely do everything by the book if you use Nix. You have like the nerd glasses. You're a very good programmer if you use Nix, that's for sure. Instead of whipping yourself when you use precompiled software, you just atone and learn from your mistakes. You have very moderate views, no radical views. I'll give Nix like a 7 out of 10. Manjaro. Manjaro has been in many controversies. I think they actually crashed the R ones. Just use Arch Linux. Just use Arch or Endeavor. Manjaro sucks, 1 out of 10. If you want like a good DE and all that stuff, just use Mint or Deepin. And if you want that Arch closeness, then just use Endeavor or Arch. EndeavorOS. I feel like this one's kind of obvious, to be honest. You have a fine taste for wine if you use EndeavorOS. You wear these blazers and like a scarf, like an artist, if you use EndeavorOS. You use LibreOffice all the time because you're obviously a writer. You've written many classics if you use EndeavorOS. You're definitely rich, you have like a collection of Rolex watches, and you drive like this old Mercedes 300 SL. If you use EndeavorOS, you're that kind of person. You definitely switched from macOS and not Windows, that's for sure. 7 out of 10. Fedora. You're smart if you use Fedora, you're like one of the Linux elites. You contribute to the actual kernel, you probably code in C and assembly. You don't give a fuck about like the status, you just use it because it works and it's good. You probably have like a collection of old IBM Model M keyboards if you use Fedora Linux. You're probably above the age of 40 if you use Fedora. 7.5 out of 10. Our list is done. The goblin's deductions have been made. I know what kind of person you are just by knowing what distro you use. It's true. I won't be needing you anymore. Our work is done. I've probably missed quite a few distros. If you want me to expand this list, just let me know. Let me know what distros you would like to add to the list. Remember, your CPU smiles when it encounters Arch Linux. I don't really have anything that can burn any data into the cassette, because it only uses one of the channels. That's not very good, because you're wasting half the other channel and you can't really, it's wasted data.